have you ever really thought about how huge companies keep all our data safe from hackers? Well, it's not some magic wall of code. It's actually a lot more like building an old-school medieval fortress, with layer after layer of defense. And today, we're going to walk through the blueprint for that fortress, one piece at a time.
So what does it really take to defend a modern digital fortress? I mean, it's way more than just firewalls. It's about knowing what treasure you're protecting, setting up the rules of the road, and most importantly, empowering the people who are living and working inside those walls. Let's start with the most critical part, the treasure.
Every fortress in history was built to protect something priceless. And in our digital world, that treasure isn't gold or jewels, it's data. We're talking everything from your family photos to a company's secret financial records. Securing the data itself, well, that's ground zero.
To do that, we need a consistent playbook, and that's called data handling. Now, the key thing to get here is that security isn't just a single action. It's a whole process that has to cover the entire life of that data, from the second it's born to the moment it's completely destroyed.
And this is what that life looks like. Data is never just sitting still. It's being created, stored, shared, and used all the time. But just think about it for a second. Every single one of these steps is a place where things can go wrong. An unsecure server, an email sent to the wrong person, not deleting it properly, all of it can lead to a disaster. That's why security has to be baked into every stage.
So, how we actually protect the treasure itself? Well, the most basic way is to make it completely unreadable to anyone who shouldn't be looking at it. Think of it like writing a secret diary in a code that only you and your best friend can decipher. In our world, we call that encryption. And there are two main ways to do this. On the left, you've got symmetric encryption. It's simple. You use the exact same key to both lock and unlock the treasure chest. But on the right, asymmetric is a little more ingenious. You have a public key that you can give to anyone. It only locks the box. But the only thing that can ever open it is your one-of-a-kind private key.
Okay, so encryption is great for hiding the data, but how do you know if somebody has messed with it? What if they snuck in and changed a single number in a financial report? For that, we need a totally different tool, hashing. It's less like a lock-in key and more like a unique digital fingerprint or a tamper-proof seal.
For a hash to really work, it's got to have these 5 properties. But the most important one for us right now is number 3, integrity. What this means is, if someone changes even a single comma in a massive document, the entire digital fingerprint changes completely. It is the absolute best way to know for sure that your treasure is exactly as you left it.
All right, so our treasure is now scrambled up and it's sealed. But that's really only half the story. I mean, a locked treasure chest isn't very safe if you just leave it sitting in the middle of an open field, right? Now we need to build the fortress walls around it, the actual computer systems and networks where the data lives. The process of building up these walls is called system hardening. The whole idea is to shrink the attack surface. Just picture that fortress again. You'd want to make the walls thicker, brick up any windows you don't need, and put extra locks on any doors. That's exactly what system hardening does for our computers. But hey, keeping those walls strong isn't a one-and-done job. It's a non-stop process called configuration management. You start by creating a baseline. Just think of it as the blueprints for the most perfect, secure version of your system. And from that day on, every single change is meticulously controlled and checked to make sure the walls never get weaker than that gold standard.
This all boils down to knowing what you've got and keeping it safe. That means you need both updates and patches. And there's a huge difference. An update might give you a cool new feature, but a patch is like a castle mason rushing to fix a crack in the wall that an attacker just found out about. It's absolutely critical.
So, now we've got an encrypted treasure and reinforced walls. Awesome. But what's the #1 vulnerability of any fortress throughout all of history? It's the people inside. If somebody just leaves the main gate wide open, it doesn't matter how strong your walls are. And that brings us to the human element, the rules of engagement.
Every well-run city or fortress has a rule book. And in cybersecurity, those are our policies. They basically dictate everything, how you have to create a password, what you're allowed to do online, even if you can use your personal cell phone for work stuff. These are the laws of your digital kingdom.
Now this seems like a no-brainer, right? But it is the one that gets broken more than any other. And why is that? Because the person asking for your password is usually someone you trust, like your boss or a helpful person from the IT department. But in a truly secure fortress, this rule is absolute. Your key is your key, and you never ever give it to anyone. Okay, so we've got our rules. But rules are pretty useless if people don't know them, don't understand them, or just don't follow them. And that brings us to our final, and you could argue, most important layer of defense, turning the everyday people inside the fortress into its most alert and capable defenders. That's kind of a provocative question, isn't it? But it's one we absolutely have to ask. Because attackers know it's almost always easier to trick a person into opening the gate for them than it is to try and break down a stone wall. This type of threat is called social engineering, and it preys on our basic human trust.
And to fight this, you need way more than just sending out a company memo. You need a whole spectrum of security awareness. It starts with education, understanding why this stuff even matters. Then you move to training, learning how to actually follow the rules. And finally, awareness, knowing what these threats actually look like when they pop up in your email or on the phone.
And this is the heart of it right here. Social engineering isn't a technical hack, it's a human hack. Attackers know it's easier to exploit our natural instincts, our desire to be helpful, our respect for authority, than it is to crack through a firewall. They're not hacking the computer, they're hacking the person.
And the traps they set are seriously clever. They might bait you with a free USB stick they lost in the parking lot, or call you pretending to be from tech support, or they might spin some elaborate fake story to gain your trust. Just being able to recognize these tactics is the single most important step in defending against them.
So let's just pull it all together. We've built our digital fortress, step by step. First, we secured the treasure, our data, using things like encryption and hashing. Then we reinforced the walls, our computer systems, with hardening and careful management. And finally, we established clear rules and trained our people to be the best defenders they can be. And that really brings us to the final and most crucial thought. A fortress is only ever as strong as its defenders are vigilant. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you know how the fortress is built, are you positive your own gates are truly locked?